Alright, guys, welcome to some more Umineko. Wow. More Umineko? I thought we were done, I thought it was over. But as I told you guys, even before we finished the manga, I was told, I told you guys, but I was told that there is extra content for Umineko, beyond just the visual novel main story and as well as, the manga. But it's relatively short. It's not like a whole episode. So, um, this will hopefully be the last Umineko thing. I do these extra stories. There's two extra stories. Well, there's more actually, but these are the two important ones that I've been told to read. And then after this, that's it. It's over. Umineko's over. I've been doing this for 4 years. At some point, I need to end Umineko. You watching this might feel like I'm milking this. I'm genuinely not. I think it's my time now that I finish off this Umineko journey. Truly, I really do want to finish it off myself. But there are some extra stories I've heard they're worthwhile to check out. Now they're not included in the main visual novel, so that's why at least I didn't read them there. They're like extracurricular visual novel content. I don't know how you get it, especially not translated in English. That's probably even more difficult. So instead, we're relying on our YouTube Umineko fans, our YouTube voice, and specifically, there is one person we're relying on. Um, so the extra stories we are reading, or we'll be watching on YouTube, and then I'll be reacting because or else I'm just straight up stealing content. So obviously, I'll be reacting to it. Right? This is gonna be yeah, because what is the point of this video if the YouTube video already exists? You can just click off this YouTube video and then check out that other YouTube video where the Umineko content is now. So I'm sure you hear from my reaction to the extra content, which will be, at least for this video, for this part, is going to be our confession. And then the next part is going to be the last note of the Golden Witch. So this is our confession. I don't think it's our confession of the Golden Witch, is it? I think it's just our confession. I don't know. But I do know it's last note of the Golden Witch. And these are the two extra stories we'll, we'll be checking out. Um, so yeah, also this video is incredibly disrespectful. Not disrespectful, but I remember when this video came out, yeah, but like right after the 2024 Worlds, and it was just after Atomic made that mistake in Neo Tokyo, and this video was uploaded a couple days, barely even a week after the World Championship happened, barely after this mistake happened. I remember thinking, wow, crazy. We're immediately hopping on that train. But thankfully for Atomic, while he got second place last year, he did win this year. So congrats to Energy and Atomic. Finally, after so many World Championship Grand Finals, he's won it. He deserves it for sure. But yeah, this is a crazy video. Anyway, irrelevant. So we're checking out our confession. Let's see. Yeah, because I YouTubed it before our confession, Umineko. So yeah, the specific person who's you know compiled it for us for YouTube viewing is Lambda Delta here 3 years ago. What the heck is going on there? Okay, we'll check that in a second. So this is our confession console version. I think there's another. Yeah, he or she, I don't know. Lambda Delta, this YouTube account, made another one 5 years ago, but I think this is with the original sprites, which I don't mind actually. I don't mind the original sprites, but yeah, we will. Oh, this is the Git. Okay, so maybe you need like a. Okay, okay, to get the patch. So maybe it is possible to get like the to get it to GitHub to our confession. But okay, it's on YouTube, so I think I'll just choose this method for now. If it gets too hot in my room, I will go lower the heater, by the way. So just if you're wondering why I randomly leave, but I'll let you know. Anyway, it's a 1 hour 45 minute joint, so I think I'm gonna split it up into two videos, right? Two 1 hour length videos probably, because you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna be yapping quite a bit, so it's gonna be yeah. I mean, I say 1 hour length video. We'll see how long they are, but split it into two sections. And I think last note is much longer, so we'll split that up to three. Let's see, last note of the Golden Witch. Here it is. I've searched it up before because I had to look up. Last note has a lot more viewers. Okay, so it's a more popular extra arc. But we'll get to both. We'll get to both because I've heard that both are important, both are relevant. So this is 3 hours, and the one with the original sprites by Rikishi is 2 hours 43 minutes. So we'll split this up into 3, and our confession into 2. So it'll be 5. So yeah, shout out to Lambda Delta once again. So one pro. Oh, they've even uploaded all the episodes, all the Umineko episodes. So shout out to How do I? And they're still uploading Umineko videos. Umineko Project Spanish, Espanol. You know what I'm saying? So now y'all get to read Umineko in Spanish too for all the Spanish speaking people. More Umineko Golden Fantasia. So this person uploads a bunch of Umineko content for you all to check out. And it seems like they are Spanish speaking as well here, so I can't read any of this, so I can't. I do not speak Spanish, but yeah. So shout out, just saying like this is their content. This is they pull this out off. I don't know, but I don't know what to say. But yeah, this is not me. This is not my content or my. I'm reacting to what they publish, just so you know. And okay, let's get into it. Our confession console version. A bit loud of a video, isn't it? So, okay, I don't know what's going on here. Saku. Okay, so Saku, I think is the extra arc which contains, it contains our confession lesson of the Golden Witch. Now, there is also Tsubasa and Hane as extra, but I've heard that, or at least I've been told that they're not as crucial for me to check out. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just deal with Saku for now. And yeah, I think I'll ignore Tsubasa and Hane for the time being. So yeah, let me just like the video, even though I haven't watched it, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, for support. Okay, our confession. Good morning. Even though the farewell party's over, you're still here. Since it's you, the one who kept us company for so long, I think it might be fine to show you even this. Huh. What will the difficulty level be? That depends on Beatrice's love. Okay. So for Umineko, Han, and Tsubasa, they are there's also like some extra arcs, right? Short stories. Okay, so Hane is short stories previously released as booklets. Official subtitles Umineko 4 Plus. And Tsubasa is something similar. Short stories released as booklets. And Saku is like an extra content thing. So these are just short story booklets that were compiled together. Whereas this is a. Oh! This is. Saku is a collection that contains all released visual novel content for the series thus far, as well as some additional content. And the additional content is what I'm reading now, Our Confession and Last Note. Okay. This gives a description of Our Confession and Last Note. I'm not gonna read it obviously because that's gonna be spoilers. I'm gonna check it out right now. The heat is just getting a bit hot, so before we get right into it, I'm just gonna lower it down a little bit. Okay. Yeah, let's get into it. It's still a bit loud, right? I hope you guys can hear me compared to the audio of the video. Alright. I have got a new setup, so hopefully it doesn't lag like it used to when I was reading these visual novels and watching these videos. Alright. There's Beato, Rodove.
ドラノール様がお越しになりました。
What is this like audio from like my right ear and left ear? What is that about? Wait, I can hear Rodove on my right side and then Beato on the left side. Is this like some 3D audio, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to play around with the fact that Rodove is on the right sprite and Beato's on the left one. If you're not wearing headphones, you probably don't hear this, but okay, interesting little thing they're doing here. I guess it's on purpose. As well, here we see Beato that's lifeless, and then a more lively Beato shows up here.
たかだか筋書きの確認をするだけのために異端審問官のそれも主席がお越しになるとは。大法院はよほどの暇か 人余りと見える。
私が立ち会いを命じられるほどに、あなたのゲームが複雑難解かつ見事なものである。
So they're starting up another game? A new game? What's happening?
政治はいらぬ。座るがよい。ロノウェ、主席殿に甘い紅茶とクッキーの
So
用意。
I'll pause the video if I have anything you want to
かし
say.
こまりました。
You know what I'm saying? But for now, we'll let it play, obviously.
結構です。
So I'll just pause and then talk if I need to yap.
早速拝見させていただきたいです。あなたが紡ぐ新しきゲームの
You're spinning. So she's making a new game?
よかろうとも
This extra Arc Confession is an extra
大筋は
game?
できている。物語としての就職はまだまだ途中だがな。
Just checking, this is the right, yeah, Arc Confession console version. Okay.
僕はまだまだ途中だがな。
Confession. Okay, I'm reading the right thing. I'm watching the right video. Beato pushed her way through a pile of manuscripts on top of her desk and pulled out a single bundle. It was the manuscript for the new game, revised countless times with various notes and tabs attached. It emanated a kind of dignified presence. Lanor gave a bow and accepted it. Then, amidst the tea vapors as Rona sat at the table, she turned over the front cover.
今回のゲームには何という名？
Is it our confession?
まだない。
Oh, there isn't one. Okay.
わらわはいつも物語を完全に書き終えて最後に名を考えるのでな。
了解です。それでは早速拝読させていただきます。楽徳と言いたいところですが、見事に整えられた物語となってからの所読となれないことが残念です。
残念。
それがデバッガーの気の毒なところよ。
今回も実に複雑怪奇な事件のようです。これが物語に昇華されたらどのようなものになるのか。
So it goes from an incident to story status. Okay.
政
It
治は良い。
develops. It
さっ
upgrades.
さとページをめくれ。わらわはまるで原稿を持ち込み編集者を前にした新米漫画家のような気持ちであるぞ。
Beato made a roguish smile, and Lanor returned the same expression. Lanor had in her hands the so-called unfinished manuscript. No, it was truly an unformed thing on its way to becoming a manuscript, with a plot in the middle of its construction mixed in. If we were to use Beato-style speech, it's just as if it was the milky form of ice cream before it was frozen. No, it's probably even less complete than that. It's still egg yolk, milk, and raw cream cast in a bowl and at the height of its mixing stage.
まさに物語の卵です。これをあなたは時間をかけてじっくりと温め、孵化させるのです。
できることならそなたには見事なアイスクリームとして完成してから賞味させたかったのであるがな。
But you don't have eggs in ice cream, do you?
もちろんそれが
Maybe sometimes have ice cream, I don't know.
しかしこれはこれでおつなものとも思っています。
Because even if it's in an incomplete state now, the recipe is still exposed. We can see the precious other side of it, the side we could never see from a completed story. Those able to see this are only the witch who wrote the tale herself and the very few observers she allows. This is the unfinished manuscript in a muddy chaos soup state before it becomes ice cream. In fact, it's missing the narrative development characteristic of a story. It's not even complete as any kind of reading material. So it's missing a red thread. However, even so, the endless witch Beatrice's secret. I need to pause this because I yapped a little bit before starting. Even so, the endless witch Beatrice's secret recipe, yet discerned by no one, is recorded upon it. To a chef, their recipes and their kitchen are sacred ground. To desecrate that is the greatest sacrilege. However, for those who admire delicacies, it is also the forbidden honey that no one can resist. Oh, where's Featherine here? This is not an example of one of Beato's interests. Featherine. Okay. But we could instead say it's an example of one of Featherine's. From here on, what is recorded is the cat's guts. Ah! Burn! From here on, turning the pages means splitting the cat's stomach open and killing it. To love the cat, then kill it and enjoy it again. Those were Burncastle's words, but they were originally uttered by Featherine. Oh, okay. So I inquire of thee, dost thou kill the cat? Oh, I can't freaking read that fast. Dang! Chill out! Or I can't read that fast, but I'm reading out loud, so I'm reading slower. Dost thou kill the cat or not? Okay. It's like I can't read that fast if I'm like, you know what I'm saying, read on my own, but I'm trying to make content for y'all. I'm trying to read for y'all out loud, you know? The ancient Featherine has regretted splitting the stomachs off and killing thousands of tails. Regret it, huh? And in the relationship of irreversibility between knowing and not knowing, she even likened not knowing to that of noble virginity. Oh, yeah, she did. There was a whole discussion about that, of like, you're better off not knowing, you know? Thus, I ask you again, shall you cut open the guts or not? Does you kill a cat or not? Beyond the lies, the inside of the cat's stomach. Oh, I got to make a choice? Kill, choose to kill. Yes! I was gonna say, I hope whoever, I hope Lambda Delta, bro, you chose to kill it, and you know what I'm saying? That's what I would have chosen too. Bunch of cat's eyes. Cat's eye, hey! You know that 80s anime? They made the remake of it recently with Ado singing the opening and the ending. Yes, the Ado. Accomplices. This time, let's make Cross and Nazi into accomplices. Okay, let's go. But Nazi has a lot of pride, so even if I flash an enormous sum of money in front of her, it's hard to imagine that she'd easily be partner to a dreadful incident. See, that's interesting. There's not a single game board in which Nazi or Cross were the accomplices. Or the wait, are they the accomplices or the yeah, the accomplices. I don't think it was a single game board where they were the accomplices. It's gonna be interesting. How are you gonna thread the tail or whatever? With regards to that problem, I'll have to two corner her, two corner her, so she has no place to run and no margin for options. After the typhoon starts, I'll secretly guide Cross and Nazi to the underground VIP room, reveal the bomb trigger, and threaten them. So they're accomplices not because they necessarily want to be, but because they were threatened to be. Okay. If they refuse, everyone dies. Got it. If they cooperate, those not sacrificed to the epitaph can come back alive. Okay. All means to connect the island to the outside have already been completely cut off. They have no way to resist. October 4th, past dusk. The rain and wind are getting stronger. The typhoon is already enveloping the island in earnest. Oh, we're going underground. Okay.
これは一体
Natsu stood frozen in front of the wide open entrance to the secret underground staircase and the darkness beyond.
怯えることはない進むがよい
Beato said that with a composed smile.
親父殿の秘密の通路というわけなのかね。
Ever since his childhood, Cross believed in the existence of a secret passage and secret room that only Kinzo knew about. But even so, when it's brazenly right before his eyes like this, he can't enter without hesitation. So they went to the
ま
chapel.
さかクラウスまで暗闇を怯えるのではあるまいなそれともこうして礼拝堂の裏で風雨に身をさらし続けることを選ぶというのか
この先に何があるというのかね。
Gold!
その目で確かめるがよいうすうすは想像がついているくせに
The
あなたやめましょう
the audio playing on my right and left here is
私もできること
still not something I'm used to.
こんな薄気味の悪い階段を降りたくなどない。しかしどうやら私たちには選択の余地はなさそうだよ。
Are you really gonna let some little girl, not little, but you know, saying some 19-year-old girl affect you like this? Come on, you're grown adults. Come on, bro. Like, you don't have to follow her if you don't have to. Now you know the secret passage too. Just walk away. She hasn't told you about the bomb yet. Come on, bro. What do you mean have? Oh, okay. Bet. Sorry. While grinning broadly, I see your game now. Okay. Beato playfully spun the sawed-off rifle held in her hand. Okay. You know, she's no longer just a 19-year-old girl no more. Okay, she's holding a gun at me. Now, yes, I have no choice. Now. Indeed, Cross and Nazi had been threatened with that gun and forced here. See, that makes a lot more sense. Because, like, right? Why am I supposed to follow you on the underground? Okay. They had thought for certain that when they were forced here, it was to kill them in a place where no one would notice. Yeah, you're right. If that's the reason, wouldn't it be even more of an incentive to crash out? Like if I knew that if some girl holding a gun wanted to lead me somewhere to kill me, you know what I'm saying, alone or whatever, right? Where no one else could find me or whatever. I crash out even more before she could lead me to such a place so that maybe my screams could be heard. And even if I died, then she'd at least be caught killing me. You know what I'm saying? Or my screams could be heard, maybe. And who knows? Like, we're two people. If he can like get right up next to her before you know what I'm saying, well, she's holding the gun and boom, like maybe one of us dies, but the other one can disarm her from her gun and like you know what I'm saying, like. It's better than both of us just dying for no reason. I'm just saying, I would have tried to crash out. However, now that they've been shown the secret staircase, they were beginning to think that maybe she wasn't planning to kill them. That she knew the secret underground staircase is the cause of Beato being a witch. And she went out of her way to show it, so she probably has some other motive than to kill them. Nay, she must. Cross gulped deeply, and they began to slowly descend the underground stairs. Nazi followed behind her husband. And Beato, grinning confidently, followed after them, holding her gun to their heads. Go! Walk! Yeah! The enormous pile of gold in the underground VIP room. Of course it makes Cross and Nazi's hearts jump, but just that wouldn't make them accomplices to some kind of dreadful incident. And so, the bomb trigger was explained. Since Cross had a good understanding of Kinzo's madness, even the embellishment that Kinzo amused himself with the trigger that would blow up the whole island wasn't something that could just be laughed off. Understanding Beato's threat with the bomb and the authority that comes with it was something that they must be made to appreciate. He wilding. Your dad was wilding. Your father-in-law was wilding. And your dad did not think to disable the bomb? Wilding, bro is wilding.
というようなことを昔言っていたような気がする。
そうとも。そしてその仕掛けがこれらなのだ。その仕掛けは後宮家の真の当主に受け継がれる。
So you.
今はわらわだけがその仕掛けを使いこなすことができるのだ。
She solved the epitaph by activating it. I cannot speak apparently. By activating it, the device can at any time cause a giant explosion. Beato's explanation may not be convincing enough. In that case, Genji will be there too. If the same story also comes from Genji's mouth, its credibility will sharply rise. Here comes Genji.
はい。かつて親方様が作られた次元爆弾の仕掛けは、今や新しき当主、ベアトリーチェ様のものでございます。
そんな。
Hearing the same story from Genji, Natsu was at a loss for words, and understandably so. On the island she had spent so many years was buried an enormous amount of explosives. Yeah, she could have died at any night. They could have at Kinzo slightest whim. That's the craziest part, right? Imagine you spend 40 years on this island with a massive amount of explosives underground that could kill you at any 24-hour period where the clock ticks to midnight. Nazis been living on this island for how many decades now? At least two, if not three decades for sure. Because you think of how long George has been here. How long has she been married to Cross? We're talking like 30 years she's been living on this island. 30, okay, imagine, okay, let's say even less than that, 25 years. You spend 25 years living on an island, not knowing that at during a single day, any day of those 25 years of you living on this island, okay, maybe not every single day she spent on this island. I'm sure she went out of the island on some trips or something every so often, but a large amount of most of the days, almost all of the days she spent on this island, right? Anytime the clock ticked to midnight, some explosive could have gone off on the ground, killed you and the rest of your family, kaboosh. You have a daughter, you have an 18-year-old daughter. At any time during those 18 years of her life, she could have gone kaboom. And Kenzo, he's been, what? We already did the math, like 40 years on this island, not just 30, 40, right? Even before Nazi came in here, right? Since he had his first children and stuff like that, and how this actually crosses like 50, right? But that depends on whether, like, I think Kinzo had children even before he was stationed at war, right? So that's when Kraus was born and Eva probably. Rosa was probably born after the war, right? After World War II. So Rosa was born after World War II. Okay, whatever, because she's also significantly younger than her other children, other siblings are. But whatever. Then he got the island after the war, after World War II, and then he got possession of the island, right? He became extremely rich. Bro held explosives on the ground for at least 40 years. Because remember, World War II ended in what, 1945, even in Japan? 1945? We're talking now the year is 1986. Bro, for 40 years, held explosives underground 40 years that could have gone off during any 24-hour period when the clock ticked to midnight. And of course, he has the device that could, switch it on and make it go kaboom. But that's just a scary thing to live with every day for so many years. So of course, he didn't tell his children about it. He didn't tell his, daughter-in-law about it. He didn't tell, what I'm saying? He didn't tell Natsu or Hideyoshi about it or anything like that. I mean, Hideyoshi only comes here once a year, but Nazi lives here every day for decades, right? As she's been here for a while. She's been loyal. You don't tell her about it. You don't even tell your own son about it, right? Cross. He's like, we already estimate he might be around 50 years old, something like that, and he doesn't know about it. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? Or maybe close to 50, 40, late 40s. His entire life been living here. Now as an adult too, terrible business decisions, but he's still rich. He's still living here, and he doesn't know about it. Man, that's crazy. Or by some kind of coincidental accident, massively explode. That's what I'm saying. I could not imagine living knowing that there's massive bombs underground that could tick at any point, at any day that passes. Even if I had the switch and I can control when it goes off and it doesn't, right? What if I accidentally press the switch and boom, I'm dead? Like, you never know, bro. Nazi was petrified at the reality that she was still living on such an island even now. That's what I'm saying. No, not just that you live on this island even now. That she'd been living on such an island for 30 years or close to 30 years, 20 years minimum. Because we know Nazi, yes, Jessica's 18 years old. So you might say, okay, maybe it's not 30 years. But we know Nazi for years struggled to have children, right? She was struggling to get pregnant. And we know this because that was a whole point of discussion with regards to how George was born first, right? And George is male, right? He was born a boy. And he's 23 years old, right? Jessica's 18. So we know she's been trying even longer than that to have a child. And Jessica's her first success. But after how many years of attempting to get pregnant, right? Like with George being birthed 23 years ago, that means she must have been decided at least 25 years because she spent several years even before George was born getting pregnant or trying to get pregnant. And that was a whole point of discussion. And Eva being getting pregnant first, she was like, "Yes, let's go!" And it's a boy. Yes, let's go. So I have the true heir lies with me. That was a big topic of discussion. Why it was such a big clash between Nazi and Eva, right? And that is also a very real thing, right? Many women face problems with. I think I've already told this story before, but yeah, many women obviously face problems with fertility, and while they can't get pregnant, it's a bit hard for them for various reasons. I think I've told this story before about how I do have a family friend. I don't know, more like a friend of my mom, like my mom, one of my mom's friends. She's always wanted to, cause she's married and she has a husband, right? But she's always wanted to have children, but she only succeeded in having one, and you know, she has been asked as well by other people, which I mean, for me, none of my business. I wouldn't ever ask such a question, but she has been asked this question by other people. But like, why don't you have more children other than that one boy? Because she gave birth to one boy, who's currently about 20 years old now. Actually, last time I talked to him, well, he was like 11. I haven't talked to him in many many years. But it was this whole discussion like, why haven't you have more children? Right? You don't want the boy to have siblings. And to this day, I don't think he has any siblings. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a very long time. Maybe my mom knows because my mom still keeps in regular contact with her, I'm sure. But she told my mom, who then obviously, eventually that information came to me about how like she did try to have a she did try, but for many years she struggled to get pregnant. Like it was an actual it was fertility problems, right? And she gave birth to her first son, but even with her first son, it wasn't easy to get pregnant with him to begin with, right? And giving him siblings was not easy. Um, so what I'm saying is that's a very realistic problem, and it's clear Yukishi knows about it. It's a very very real problem of like women not being capable of it, even if they want to, even if they desire it, and that's why it's a bit not rude, but it's a bit wild to be asking personal questions like that. Me personally, I would not ask if a woman is married with a guy, or a couple is married and they've been for years. I'm not gonna ask why they don't have any children yet, or why they decided not to have children yet. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be fertility issues. Maybe they want to. Maybe they don't want to. Hey, not my relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to. Go crazy about it. And then the other aspect is that it's not just on the fault of the woman. Sometimes it actually is on the man, but often the assumption is placed on the woman that she can't get pregnant. But sometimes it is on the man too. Sometimes the sperm from the man is not. I don't know if what the word is effective enough. Um, so the woman could be perfectly fertile, in that sense of the word, or perfectly healthy for childbearing or yeah, pregnancy, right? Whereas, but the guy isn't, it's something wrong with his, sex organ that's not capable of getting her pregnant. And so it's like some women experience that too. And for a long time, they will go to the hospitals and doctors and stuff and say, "What's wrong with my fertility? Why can't I get pregnant?" Right? When instead they should also test the guy. So that's the big deal, right? So always test both, right? Test if you're gonna test the woman first, because that's the assumption you make is that she, for some reason, there's fertility problems in her, sure. But also test the guy's sperm, like why? You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's not enough sperm cells, or they're not. There's something's off with them. That's the reason you get fertile. Because I've heard that like some women they thought they were infertile, something was happening with the fertility, but then they, you know what I'm saying, with another man, they succeeded immediately, right? It was just so it was clearly on the man's fault that his ejaculate didn't function properly. So it's not always on the woman, is what I'm saying, the fertility thing. So, but it is a realistic problem either way, and I don't know if it's talked about enough or whatever. I don't know. I just have experiences with my mom's friend. If it wasn't for my mom's friend, I would have been completely ignorant about this whole situation. Um, but it is a very realistic thing that many people have to deal with. You might see a married couple not having children in if your first thought is, why are they not having children? Why did they not want children? You never know. There's a lot of things that could be going on behind closed doors, and maybe they want to reveal it, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they do not want to have children, and that's their choice too. But here Rikishi brings it up, so clearly he's aware that it is a thing, even though it's not something Rikishi puts a big, the author of Umineko, he doesn't put a big emphasis on it. It's like a small not a throwaway line, but like a small thing you mentioned in the line. A Nazi for years struggled to get pregnant, and then it continues on with the story. But it's something he throws in there, and it's important, but it doesn't like make it a big plot or anything. It's just part of the realistic situation that now, especially with not giving birth to a daughter that's younger than George, but her being a daughter, and then playing into that whole, what call it, patriarchal thing, especially with who is going to become the next heir, playing on that role, making that be of much bigger importance, but rooting in it kind of those that fertility problem we were talking about earlier. So yeah, so that you're still living on such an even now. Okay. Yap session over.
なるほど。恐ろしい話だよ。しかしそれは戦争中の爆薬ではないかね。
So you're saying they don't function no more?
被爆するとは思えない。
I'm sure they will. Sure to be kept.
問題ありません。親方様の命により定期的に検査を行っておりました。
Okay, periodic inspections. If you're an inspector coming here to this island, say you come in and you're tasked to check if the explosives still work, you're not gonna raise questions. What is the legality of that? If I'm an inspector and I go, yo, by the way, like, the bombs work and all, but like, are you sure this could blow up the whole island? Like, and you're there like, yeah, no, keep. Kinzo's there like, no, keep the bombs, let them be. I just told you expect them and check that they work, and then you can go away. The inspectors are there like, what the heck? Like how did the inspectors not snitch to the government or something? Like, what is the legality of that? What do you mean he had inspections carried out? How can you trust those people with these inspections? Like, what? If I'm an inspector of the bomb, man, I don't know, man. What if he's also, what if he's just luring in there as an inspector, quote unquote, and then he secretly wants to blow you up along with everyone on the island? Like, that's crazy.
もちろん爆薬のテストもしたぞ。
They did test him. Beata herself tested him on the the shrine next to the island.
は申し分ないものであった。
That's the whole thing in episode 2.
あれだけの威力を見せたのだ。少なくともこの屋敷を中心に数百メートルを完全に吹き飛ばすなど造作もないことであろうな。
爆薬のテスト。
So unless you're in Kuadori and you're screwed,
そうであると
or on the outskirts of the
爆
island
薬
in
の威
general,
力を実
uh,
験する
far away
た
from
め
the mansion.
あるものを爆破したのだ。そなたたちもよく知っていたものだ。
Cross and Natsu looked at each other. They didn't remember there being any kind of big explosion anywhere nearby. The shrine! Come on, y'all! Think, Mark, think! Shrugging her shoulders with a smile, Beato signaled to Genji to explain it to them.
旦那様、奥様、お忘れですか。鎮守の社のこと。鎮守の社。
The local shrine built on the reef just a little ways out from Rokkenjima's port. Last year it was demolished by some large wave or lightning or something. Yeah, that's what they said. They hadn't really thought about it much. But there's no way some large wave would wash away the whole shrine, let alone the reef. There was a group among the servants who said purple lightning fell from the sky and smashed the shrine, or some such rumor, but there's no such thing as purple lightning, much less lightning that could smash a shrine and even destroy the reef. That's what I'm saying, lightning doesn't do that. Lightning can't just destroy a whole shrine and reef like that. Come on now.
そんな
Lock
そ
in!
ういうことよ。わらわの復活を祝ってあの社を岩礁ごと吹き飛ばさせてもらったのよ。しかしあれほどの威力とは。社が吹き飛べば上等と思っていたが、まさか岩礁ごと吹き飛ばすとはな。人間の生み出した武器も実に恐ろしいものだぞ。
It's what Netero said in Hunter x Hunter.
状況は理解したよ。それで君はここへ私たちを招いてその話を聞かせた。それに対し何を求めていると言うんだね。普通ならばそれに対し金でも要求するのかと考えるところだが、 そこに山と積まれている黄金があるように、君がお金に困っているようには到底見えん。そして私の命が目的ならさっさと奪っているはずだ。まさか冥土の土産を気取って六軒島の秘密を聞かせてくれたわけではないと思うのだがね。
Cross tried to act as calm as possible. That is a good idea. Certainly, as his every word slightly quivered, his nervousness and agitation still hadn't cooled down. However, the mountain of gold piled there, and the story about the massive amount of explosive that could blow up the whole island, that way too abnormal reality, made the scene before his eyes also feel more like an event happening on the other side of the TV screen. In some sense, that might have let him regain his composure. Moreover, thinking more calmly, it had been declared that the means of contacting the outside world had been already severed. Furthermore, that it's also understood that the typhoon would isolate the island for a period of 2 days. There was nowhere to run. On the whim of this golden witch worthy of inheriting Yushizume Kinzo's madness, everyone on Rokkenjima could be blown to smithereens. For Natsu to understand this, she would probably need to cool her head for a while more. However, Cross was already starting to calmly accept it.
君はこれから何かの条件と引き換えに私に何かを強いるつもりだろう。それがどのようなものか私には皆目見当もつかないが、可能な限り交渉に応じるつもりだ。
ほう、意外にも理解が早くて助かるぞ。
おそらくそれは断りがたいものだろう。何しろ今の私たちは島丸ごと君に人質に取られているも同然なのだからね。
その通りだ。爆発から逃れる方法は2つしかない。1つはわらわしか知らない方法によって次元装置を解除すること。もう1つはこの格子の向こうの地下通路より島の反対側へ行き爆発を逃れることのみだ。見ての通り、この格子の世情も我が手中にある。いずれの方法で生き残るにせよ、わらわを拒むことなどできんのだ。
分かっているとも。私たちも自分の命は惜しい。しかし同時に君も私たちに何らかの協力を得なければならないらしい。次元爆弾と黄金という最高の切り札を2枚も持つ君が私たちに首を縦に振らさなければならない都合があるらしい。
素晴らしい。
いいともクラウスよ。そなたが望むならそうしようではないか。これは脅迫ではない。取引だ。わらわはそなたたちの
取引？
協力を得たい。
先に見返りを聞こうではないかね。
この黄金の山、そなたたちの協力を得たい。命を保証しよう。ただし、それ以外の一切は諦めてもらうがな。
それ以外の一切という意味をもう少し詳しく伺いたいね。
そのままの意味だ。何しろ、この島のすべては吹き飛ぶのだからな。
Cross and Natsu both were shocked at such an outrageous proposition. For a time they lost their composure, but even still it was an offer that couldn't be refused. Cross called Natsu and regained his cool. He retorted that if the island were to blow up, there wouldn't be enough time to carry out the gold. Beto held out the card to an underground safe at a bank. This was what Beto had turned into cash so far. In an underground vault beneath the bank's head office slept 1 billion yen stuffed in an attache case. By holding out that card, she guaranteed Cross 1 billion yen. That's what, $10 million? A little less than $10 million? A lot of money! A lot of money. But Cross found it hard to believe that there really was 1 billion yen in that safe. But money can't buy the lives of his family. Once again, after disputing with Nazi, he was dispirited and worn. In exchange for his family's absolute safety, Cross reluctantly offered up his cooperation. Of course, there was self-interest too. The island being blown away would probably be treated as an accident. And along with that, without any relatives, the investigation directed at him would become unresolvable. Of course, this includes Kinzo's death too. Nearly all the troubles they bear would be gone, yeah? They did hide Kinzo's death, and even supposing there isn't 1 billion in the safe, there's a lot of money on Kinzo's life insurance plan. That's crazy. Nazi was hesitant, but to Cross, it wasn't a bad deal. Suppressing the guilty part of his conscience, Cross argued that there was no other way to protect Jessica.
それで私たちに何をしろというのですか。
協力するとは言ったのに、おかしな犯罪の片棒は担ぐに。
Cross and Nazi said, completely drained.
わらわはとある人物をもてなすためにある芝居を上演したい。ある物語？そやつとわらわは推理小説をたしなみ、互いに議論を交わした仲よ。ゆえにその6年ぶりの帰りを祝って極上のミステリーで歓迎してやりたいのだ。
It would seem that, on this island shut off by a typhoon, Beata wants to put on some kind of bizarre play. Their role is to obey the scenario she prepared so that the story will stay consistent. In other words, to become characters in her play. To act and speak only in accordance with her scenario. There apparently was nothing more required of them than that. Except, all other things are forbidden. In the event that her story is interfered with, the safety of Cross's family is not guaranteed. The only way to escape the giant explosion is to get far away from the mansion grounds. The only way to do that is to escape to the opposite side of the island by the tunnel out from the underground VIP room. And that underground tunnel is blocked by a locked metal grate. Only Beato holds a key, and Beato promises that after everything is over, she will hand that key over to Cross. The whole story was dangerous and shady all over. No, perhaps this was a necessary aspect for a play. She, in exchange for all the gold, was saying she wanted help just for one last play, or perhaps sideshow. The dress of the witch in the portrait that she wore, and her whimsical smiling. Or perhaps joy is only permitted to those who solve the mystery of the epitaph. Cross continued to press for his family's safety. Now, when that promise was broken, all cooperation ceases. And to that, Beato would once again say that if they didn't follow the scenario provided, not a single person would survive, while scowling at them with a crazy laugh. And with that, Cross and Nazi had been made complacent. The cooperation of all the servants and of Nadra had already been arranged. The preparations for the game board were now complete. And finally, the story begins. Okay.
とにかく親父が降りてこねえことには始まらねえ。
まったくだわ。私たちは兄さんと話しに来たんじゃない。お父様と話をしに来たのよ。
Cross quietly bore all the harsh words of the siblings. He couldn't do anything extraneous. He must behave in accordance with the scenario provided to him by the witch. In the scenario, he was to wait until midnight, which was soon to be. Then, they heard the chime of the banquet hall's grandfather clock. It's midnight. It's time for that witch's scenario to take motion. At midnight, there will be a knock on the door of the dining hall. And there it was.
誰だね
He meant to say it nonchalantly, but he came out slightly nervous.
失礼いたします。源氏でございます。
He is also a person following Beatrice's scenario.
あら、源氏さん。どうしたのこんな時間に。
ちょうどよかった。少し喉が渇いてたんや。この辺で少しお茶でももらって休憩しようやないか。
Genji, after signaling to Cross with a look, deeply lowered his head to everyone and made the announcement.
皆様方、親方様が書斎にお呼びでございます。
Everyone was stunned by his words. Have doubted even the existence of Kinzo, but that very person was summoning everyone to his study.
どういうことよ、これは。
知らんよ。親父殿の気まぐれは今も昔もどうにもならんね。
All according to plan. All according to Keikaku. This is the part where I lead everyone to the study. And then in front of the study, he and Natsu will specifically be told to wait.
お待ちを。旦那様と夏日様はこちらでお待ちくださいませ。
In front of the study, Genji made the pronouncement. Natsu didn't say a thing, slightly casting her eyes at the floor. Seeing this, Eva smiled triumphantly.
あら、これはどういうことなのかしら。兄さんたち抜きで先に私たちに話したいことって一体何なのかしら。
わからんね。親父殿が考えることはいつだって
Cross repeating himself.
親方様、源氏でございます。親族の皆様をお連れいたしました。
Genji said this through the door after knocking. A farce. Beyond that door lies only a deserted room that has long since lost its master.
皆様、栄光ある後宮家の当主、金蔵様の書斎でございます。くれぐれも粗相のなきようお願い申し上げます。
源氏さん、親父の機嫌はいいんだろうね。
はい。当主様はすこぶる上機嫌でおられます。
Both Eva and Rosa were visibly relieved, but Cross and Natsu knew the master Genji spoke of was a new master. It was that witch. Right now, awaiting them inside the study was the golden witch Beatrice. The island, the mansion he lived in, was, at some point unbeknownst, granted to the witch of the portrait as its new master. This mansion Cross had come to believe was his home had quickly became a very different place for him. Become is what they're trying to say there. With Genji leading, Eva and the other relatives were swallowed up by the pungently poison-scented study. Slowly the door closed, and with the heavy sound of the auto lock, their existences disappeared. Was this the right choice?
これで私たちの仕事は果たせたのでしょうか。
とりあえず今夜の仕事は
あの女は不吉です。うかつに近寄れば自らごと全てを滅ぼしかねない嫌な気配を感じるのです。
夏日もかね。私もだよ。だからあの女の言いなりになるべきだと思ったんだ。あの女はもし私たちが首を縦に振らなかったなら、あの場で即座に私たちを殺していただろう。
使用人たちも全員あの女の手下なのですね。
誰だって死にたくはないさ。それに私たち同様に多くの報酬が約束されているのかもしれない。何しろ
200億の黄金をお持ちなのだからな。
That's a little less than $200 million. 200 million. Suddenly, hearing unexpected footsteps, Cross and Natsu went quiet. They looked and saw Kumasawa coming up the stairs. Kumasawa was also one of the witch's henchmen. They can't afford to lower their guard, but still they did view her as someone they could better relate to than Genji.
お疲れ様でございます。旦那様方のお役目は今夜はこれで終了
Why
だ
is
そう
she
です。
talking like that? She's talking like Genji.
彼らに魔女殿は何の話をしているのだね。
ベアトリーチェ様のお考えは私どもには分かりません。
なるほど。魔女殿も親父殿も気まぐれなあたりは実によく似ているようだ。
私たちはこれからどうすればよいのですか？
今夜はこのままお部屋にお戻りになり、お休みになられるようにとのことです。明日からは明日からのシナリオに沿われますようにとのことです。
熊沢さん、あなたもあの魔女に買収されているわけかね。
私も命が惜しゅうございますので。
爆弾の話かね。あれは本当なのかね。本当にこの島の地下には爆弾が仕掛けられているのかね。
おそらくは真実でございましょう。実際に鎮守の社を爆弾で吹き飛ばしているのですから。
熊沢はこれから何が起こるのか聞いているのですか？
とある方を驚かせるための大芝居としか聞かされておりません。
Battler!
それ以上はご容赦ください。私も余計なことを喋れば命はないと脅されておりますもの。
When Kumasawa meekly said this, she lowered her head very deeply. The buyouts from the giant pile of gold and the threat from the bomb. They really have no way to resist. Is this all just a giant farce? Or is it the opening to some ghastly celebration of the Golden Witch's resurrection? Despite the ominous feeling they got from the thunder outside, Cross and Nazi could only head to their respective rooms. But in their bedrooms were the new scenarios already delivered. By reading them they knew tonight's farce will continue. I don't really get the point of this extra episode so far, or extra content. Like, I don't really get it. It's just an episode where Cross and Nazi are added as accomplices. I don't get it. What are we doing? What is the purpose? What are we? What story are we trying to tell in this our confession story? The five invited to the study, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, Kiria, and Rosso, stood firmly at attention like children called to ceremony.
親方様、親族の皆様、5名をお連れいたしました。
うん。ご苦労であったな、源氏。
Everyone was surprised at hearing a woman's voice. A flash of lightning illuminated a woman's figure for an instant, which was the very figure of the person whose portrait hung in the reception hall.
皆様、栄光ある後宮家の当主、ベアトリーチェ様のおなりでございます。
So overwhelmed by the sight of the witch, they forgot to even close their gaping mouths. Eva was the first to come to her senses.
これは何の冗談なの？源氏、これはどういうこと？
こら驚いたわ。
Nice cosplay!
まさに肖像画の魔女にうり二つやで。そのドレス特注したんかいな。
What about the wig?
お静かに、当主様の御前でございます。死後は慎まれますよ。
They were all stunned again by Genji's sharp words. No, that's not right. It was because the more familiar family head had casually appeared from the darkness.
す日がやってきたということだ。今夜私は後宮家のすべての財産と後宮家当主の指輪を彼女に譲り渡したのだ。
Kinzo made the announcement in boisterously high spirits. Of course, Kinzo never really appeared. To those who already know that Kinzo has left this world, this illusion is nothing more than a farce. Yeah, we know. Because illusions are an embellishment of the results cause. They are merely a creative production behind known results. The results are that 5 people die in the study. And along with their miserable final moments comes its own new production. An embellishment of the results cause.
さて、今宵そなたらを集めたのには理由がある。わかる者はおるか？いきなりそう問われてもひらめきはしまい。だからヒントはくれてやろう。クラウスと夏日を呼ばなかったことに意味がある。現時はカウントしなくてよいぞ。こやつはまだまだ役に立つのでな。
Suddenly declaring this, Beata had a mischievous smile creep upon her face. Of course, there really was no way for any of them to answer such a question. Even Kinzo tilted his head in confusion.
この私にもわからぬ問いを用意するとは実に味なことをするではないか。なぜそなたの復活をクラウスと夏日に祝わせぬのだ。
わからぬか、金蔵。もう一つだけヒントをやろうではないか。それはついさっき大広間で大時計が何を知らせたのかであるわ。
Getting more and more confused, the relatives muttered amongst themselves. They really had no idea what was happening.
やれやれ、金蔵にもわからぬとは。失望であるぞ、人間ども。それでは正解を教えてやろう。はてさて、今回はどのようにしたものか。七姉妹ではマンネリだし、シエスタの姉妹兵もおなじみがち
Too accustomed.
ガープも良いかと思ったが、やはりここは久々に新しき客人を招こうではないか。
Ho ho. Which new demon shall I call this time? Opening her grimoire, she picks randomly from the 72 noble demons. Casually flipping through the pages. The number that appears is 64. Who was number 64 of the 72 again? Rank number 64. You went too fast there. Flauros, or Flauros in Japanese. Flauros. Yes, it has a nice ring to it. Let's go with this one. Alright, what kind of character design shall we do? Gap and Rorove and everyone have an adult-like design, so this time I'd like to try the upside with a more childlike design. Okay, we're getting like a kiddie. A killer with childlike innocence or something. Okay, maybe it could be expressed through character design. Let's look up more about Flauros. See, this is what I feel like we're now starting to get into the point of this extra content thing. Is this new demon we're being introduced to Flauros? See, this is what I'm more interested in. Now I'm finally, because everything before now is like, okay, you're setting up the story, alright. You spent now how many, half an hour or something on this? I'm like, okay, when are we getting into, you know what I'm saying, the what the point of this is? But okay, so we're getting just a new character that's not part of the main story. Flauros, Flachan. Yes, I like the sound of it. What? Has the appearance of a leopard? Has the appearance of a man when taking human form? What? A man? A cute girl would be so much better. Amended. Let's make her a cute girl with matching animal ears. Alright. Sakutaro had cute ears. Something like his. Let's catch it. Good, good, good. Damn, okay. Okay, but like... Okay. When she said childlike, I was expecting like a Burn Castle or a Lambda Delta type design. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was not expecting... This is more like a teenager type design. Childlike in the sense of like, okay, she doesn't look as grown as Gop or Runaway do. But she doesn't look like she's any older than like, you know what I'm saying, than a teenager, like 19 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, although very curvy body, obviously, but like Flauros. Okay. I mean, okay, Beato, it's your design, do your thing. What are the colors though? The colors are important. What's the color for hair?
さーて誰を招いたものか。誰でもよいがわらわを退屈させぬことだけが条件だ。いでよ契約の悪魔よ。誰でも構わぬわ。いでて我が退屈を癒すがよい。
As Beato raised her hands up, the floor of the study shone golden, and it was whirled up all at once. It was a wondrous swarm of golden butterflies. The relatives were dumbfounded at such a beautiful scene that had lost all sense of reality.
これは美しい召喚だ。やれやれ、誰を呼び出したやら。この荘厳さ、72柱の大悪魔と言える。
さすがは金蔵。召喚に関しては実に詳しい。そうよ。呼び出したるは72柱の大悪魔。ただ誰が現れるかはわらわにもわからない金蔵。
恐ろしいやつよ。そのようないい加減な心がけで大悪魔を召喚できるのだから、その魔力にはつくづく敬服する。この魔力にはつく。
As the whirlwind of golden butterflies surged, it formed a human shape in the center of it. Oh, okay, like golden brown hair or something. And those are the ears. After it burst apart, a great demon of the 72 pillars showed herself. She does look like the portrait. I guess now I see a little more of the childlike form. I feel like a big part of this is the pigtails, though. That makes her look even more childlike. But I do see it. Okay.
さて誰がわらわの召喚に答えた
Flauros.
やら。
フラウロスであるな。
さすがは金蔵よ。一目でわかるとはつくづくそなたは人間離れしている。
Kinzo and Beto were having a chat, grinning and laughing. However, the other relatives were just standing still with their minds blank.
フラウロスよ。久しぶりであるな。
It's been a while, so you've met her before. You've done this before.
少なくとも今は誰の契約にも服していないということ。嬉しいぞ。
You know, I imagine this entire extra episode was created by Yukishi just because he wanted to design a new character. He just wanted to be like, you know what I'm saying? He just wanted to make a design a new character from the 72 demons or whatever. He just wanted to be like, ah, let me design a new character. You know what? I'm gonna make an extra episode just for this character. Why not? Boom. Flauros, here you go. Put you on the spot. Give you some tiger ears, tiger design. Boom. Go on. What was it? Isn't that what they said? Leopard. Sorry, leopard, not tiger. Leopard ears. Boom. Send you out there.
あなたを味方として迎えられて。
72柱序列第64位灼熱のフラウロス登場
Flauros of Hellfire. See, King said the same thing. Albert said the same thing. That did not go well for him. Or it was King the Conflagration. Did not go so well for him. To human eyes, she probably looked like a girl still in middle school. This is how middle schoolers look like? I mean, no comment. I'm done. I'm too. Yeah, maybe like 7 years ago I've had more things to say, but right now I'm not gonna. You know what I'm saying? If this is a middle schooler, then okay. I mean, okay, okay. Alright. However, let's just keep reading. Let's not put too much into that. However, she's one of the 72 great noble demons, Flauros. With her terrible power, she lays waste to her summoners' enemies. Her specialty is devouring and burning them to ash. Truly a demon among demons. Hellfire. Alright, Flauros.
誰でもいいなんていい加減な召喚だったけど面白そうだからと来てみれば召喚者はまさかのあの大ベアトリーチェ卿だぜ
Bro, she's moving her mouth. Okay, so this is the console version where they're lip syncing. They're moving their mouths.
雇われ召喚
I did not notice before now.
面白いもんだぜ
I genuinely did not notice that.
そうであるな。
Yeah,
かつてその
I just noticed this.
わらわと敵対する魔女と契約していた。そなたの相手は実に骨が折れたもの。
I just noticed that they're moving their mouths. It's weird to look at.
仕事だから仕方ないぜそれであちしの仕事はあちしの仕事は殺す
Wait, are we sure they've been talking this whole time?
とか壊すことだけだぜ久しぶりだから暴れたくてうずうずしてるぜ
Wait, okay, let's go like, okay, 4319 is where we're at now. Haven't. Oh, they have been.
俺
Wow,
は今日
they have been moving their mouths the entire time. I'm just blind. Okay, 4319 is where we were just now, though.
わらわの儀式への協力を命ずる。すでに時計は
Which actually tells me, yeah, okay, we're not too far away from the halfway point, so we're gonna end part 1 in like 10 minutes time or something. We'll see. Alright.
その始まりを刻んでいるのでな。これより第一の番の生贄に
6
6
people?
人を殺すことを命
Who's
ず
the
る。
6th? I guess Kinzo.
了解だぜここに都合よく並んでる
'Cause-
6人をぬっ殺しちまっても
Because
いい
the text
んだ
earlier
ね
said she was gonna kill 5. But I guess Kinzo's included to make it 6. And we know Genji survives.
なんとそういうことかこれは私も運がない
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But the reality is that 5 people died. Kinzo finally understood the reason for which everyone was gathered in his study. In Beato's mind, the sacrifice of the first twilight had already been decided. Of course, it's the first twilight, so 6 need to die anyway.
様一体どういうことなんです？
Eva timidly asked, but Kinzo just continued his mad laughter.
運のない奴らだぜさて誰から食らってやろうかね
Flauros' 2 hands stretched to the floor. Her appearance was now not so much that of a human, but of a ferocious leopard's. I was gonna say the moment they said she stretched her hands to the floor, or hands or arms? Hands. The moment they said that, I was like, oh, that's like a leopard.
悪く思うな。そなたらに罪はない。
Oh yeah?
6年もの長きにわたり。
Hey, Battler! Where are you at?
約束を恨むのだな。
I refuse to hate Battler, I don't care. They all stared befuddled. Beato bent down into the sofa's... What? Too fast for me. Into the sofa's shadow. Okay. Grabbed the gun, and when she stood up again, she was holding in both of her hands one from Kinzo's collection of sawed-off shotguns. The relatives could only imagine the sight of her wearing a dress and holding an antique gun, to be that of a proper lady holding something like a folding fan. Rest in peace, buddies. Well, at least they couldn't... Rog limitation. Rog. Well, at least they couldn't imagine lead actually gushing from those muzzles. First, Inuyasha Kinzo's study shoot... Wait, what? First, Inuyasha Kinzo's study shoot Eva... Shoot Eva... Okay, the English is a bit weird in this one. But the first Inuyasha Kinzo's study... Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, Kiria, and Rosa were shot dead. I'll just say it like that. That's a sentence that makes sense. The door to Kinzo's study is thick, so the sounds of the guns won't be heard easily. Kraus and Natsu will already have been guided far enough away from the study by Kumasawa and won't hear the guns firing. Does that say Kinzo as well? No, it doesn't. Okay. The tools necessary for dealing with the corpses will already have been brought to the study. Flauros changed into the form of a giant leopard and started by swallowing Kinzo in one gulp. Okay, that's how Kinzo dies. Yep. Swallowing him whole served as an explanation for Kinzo not to leave a corpse. Okay. Might be good to leave something like some of... Wait, what? It might be good to leave something like some of cut off scrap of Kinzo's robe behind the room. Okay, that's great. Shocked by this, the relatives tried to escape the room, but they couldn't because it had been magically sealed. Ha! Should be a question mark there. The enormous leopard bellowed that as it twisted its greatly inflated belly. Maybe Kinzo, who was swallowed whole, was struggling, or maybe it was indigestion. Flauros returns to the form of a girl, rubbing her belly that was protruding like a watermelon. Before long, her stomach retracts as she shrugs. Them moving their mouths is so weird. I read Internet Umineko without them moving their mouths. With a door that would never be opened again as long as the first twilight lasted behind them. Some of the relatives were banging on it, while others were in front staring at Flauros. Take care of them. Rudolph was posturing, but his was shaking and his hips were Wait, what? His was shaking? But he was shaking, I'm gonna go with that. And his hips were buckling, I'm gonna go with that. Flauros approaches him in that state while laughing impishly and licking her lips. Liver? Nah, not my liver. Don't shoot my liver. Contrary to the tone of the girl who had eaten a person, those nails were way too sharp. And Rudolph goes out first. Rudolph fell on his knees. Then, with a thud and a splash, intestines spilled out on the floor from that torn up stomach. Lines of fresh blood were drawn on the wall several times. To abide by the above scenario, the bodies were distorted. So that bullet holes are not discovered, whole chunks of their bodies were destroyed. Flauros tore into the stomachs, pulled that way, what? Ah, the bodies had to be distorted, I see. Whole chunks of those bodies were destroyed, I see. Flauros tore into the stomachs, pulled out the entrails and bit them off, I see. This was also carefully reproduced. Hey, you want young guts?
かにこのように死体がちぎれ飛び内臓が散らばる血まみれの第一の晩は実に見事だ。エヴァの再来を思わせる残忍さであるぞ。
Eva? She was a brutal one.
あちしはただ命令された相手を食らっちまうだけだぜ。さて次は誰を抜っ殺しちまうんだぜ。100年も釜の中に閉じ込められてたから久々のそばなんで羽を伸ばしたくてうずうずしちまうぜ。
It seems like Flauros couldn't contain the throb in the light bubbling through her entire body for having been summoned after so long. She moaned as she stretched, standing on her hands and feet in an animal-like stance.
申し訳ないが、我が儀式にはいろいろと作法があるのでな。そなたの出番は次の第2の晩までない。
せっかく血の雨が浴びられたと思ったのにそんな肩透かしだぜ。
そなたが呼び出されるのはいつも敵の群れの真っ只中であろうからな。100年ぶりの獲物がまずはたったの6人で実に申し訳なく思うぞ。
まああちしは時間内食べ放題が大好きだけどもったいぶってちまちまと出てくる懐石料理も嫌いじゃない。
Dignified, yeah?
このあちしを呼び出した以上きっちり最後まで大ベアトリーチェのフルコースを楽しませてもらっちゃうぜ。
そなたが暴れてくれれば暴れてくれるほどにわらわは退屈せずに面白い。わらわもそなたが楽しんでくれることに期待している。
じゃあ第2の晩まではお役御免ってことでいいんだね。
うん、それまでのんびりくつろぐがよいぞ。
じゃあしばらくあちしの好きにさせてもらうぜ。熱い雷雨を浴びながら存分に表を駆け巡りたいぜ。
Flauros stood four-legged as she moaned happily with a stretch, her entire body quivering in the light. Her body slowly glowing red, she burned
あち
brightly.
しは72柱の序列第64位灼熱のフラウロス。すべてを食い尽くすぜ、燃やし尽くすぜ、ぶっ飛ばすぜ。ああ次の出番が待ちきれねえ。
Her bright red light turned to white and suddenly caused a giant explosion. Explosion?
の出番が待ちきれねえ。
Why an explosion? The room splinters and everything turns white with smoke and dust from the blast. The inside of the study was swallowed up by a torrent of blistering rain. Flauros' explosion broke a gaping hole in the wall of the
や
study.
れやれ、あまり派手にしてくれるな。この部屋にそのつもりはないが、以降は密室殺人の趣向で行くのでな。そう自由気ままに壁をぶち抜かれてはたまらんぞ。
それは悪いことをしたぜ。
So she shot the wall
壊
too?
すのと同じくらい壊すのも大好きなもんで。焼き払うのはもっと大好きだぜ。
You are hellfire. As she yelled, Flauros returned to leopard form and, leaving behind flaming footprints, jumped out into the storm-filled sky. Okay. From the giant hole in the walls, she landed in the middle courtyard, kicking the walls and prancing about until she disappeared into the jet-black sky. It seems she just couldn't help herself after being separated from the physical world for so long.
なるほど。なかなかに退屈をさせぬやつだ。それにしても無残なものよ。
Yeah, it's not closed room no more. The giant gaping hole, the wreckage and dust, and the storm blowing all made the study quite a wreck. And of course, the sacrifices with their innards cruelly strewn about.
たまにはこのような大胆な第一の晩もおつなものよ。
Then, Cross and Nazi were to be brought to the scene and made full witness to everything. Uh-huh. So, it would probably be good to get them a bit dusted up. Something like having them do one roll on the floor of the trashed up study should do the trick. So after the murder of the first six, Beto sneered, "Aren't you lucky?" at Cross and Nazi, who, since the seal had expired, managed to flee out the door. Or something. Or something. After that, Cross and Nazi rushed to call the police, but for some reason the call couldn't get through. The general outline is that they, in a panic, took the servants and rushed to the guest house. But both Shannon and Kanon... Okay. But both Shannon and Kanon can't go together, so this part will have to be done carefully. A simple story would be Nazi and Shannon went on ahead to the guest house, while Cross and Kanon went to get guns for self-defense but are a bit late coming back. Shannon entered the servant's room with the terrified Kumasawa, slipped out through the window and met up with Cross. Then for a while everyone holed up in the guest house. Where was Nazi again? Nazi and Shannon went on ahead to the guest house. Cross and Kanon went to get guns and met up with Cross. So Nazi was just on her own. Okay. Sure. The children that killed parents will probably want to see the crime scene, or start planning revenge, or find some other reason to leave the guest house. If they're really persistent, they can once more go to the study. Once again, it will be auto-locked, but it's not a problem since Genji has a key. When they see such a bizarre crime scene with a large hole in the wall, they will certainly accept that it couldn't possibly have been done by humans. It would also be interesting if there was a magic circle at the crime scene that wasn't there before. Ah! The magic circle could have been prepared several days earlier. All that's needed is for Cross and Nazi to give false testimony that it wasn't there before. Dang! And to make it even more inexplicable, Cross or Nazi will carry an envelope that makes a proclamation about the crime, and it will be discovered in a closed room situation. Okay. That's how they do these tricks, you know? This is just an example, but something like having a room that was just unconfirmed locked with nothing unusual. But then when it's re-entered, there will suddenly be a creepy letter there. Wait, It would be impossible to explain it by methods other than magic without dotting Cross and Nazi. The first mystery argument in the meta world can be held here. Without dotting Cross and Nazi, there is absolutely no way to see through it. Probably, he won't be able to think of anything outside of something having to do with the lock, or some kind of location-based trick based off a gap in or around the door or window. Okay, Battler, weak! But if this is a closed room in the true meaning, there isn't some mysterious culprit hiding somewhere. If I note all these things in red, he'll just give up. He can only destroy false closed rooms. So if this room really is a closed room, he'll go as far as it's magnificent and stop thinking. What's the plan then, Beto? Certainly, in cars closed room taxonomies. What are cars closed rooms? What is this? This is like outside of Umineko. I don't know who car is or what cars closed rooms. What's a taxonomy? There are listed many false closed rooms made to appear like true closed rooms. What's a taxonomy? I've never heard of word in my life. The science of classifying and naming organisms into hierarchical groups based on shared characteristics. What? A practice that is concerned with classification or categorization. Typically, there are two parts to it: the development of an underlying scheme of classes and the allocation of things to the classes. Domains, kingdoms, phylum, class, order, family, genus. What? I still don't know what a taxonomy is. The branch of science concerned with classification, especially of organisms, systematics. So classification. So closed room taxonomy. Who is Carr? Carr's closed room taxonomies. What are those? John Dixon Carr's closed room taxonomies, outlined by Dr. Gideon, fell in the Hollow Man, categorizing possible crimes into 7 main types. These includes the murder being an accident, the crime being committed by someone who was not there, for example, using poison or a booby trap, the murderer using misdirection to make it seem impossible, the victim committing suicide, the use of an impersonation, and the murder being committed from outside the room with a disappearing weapon. Are those really 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's the 7th? Committed by someone's not there, an accident, 2. Misdirection, 3. Victim, suicide, 4. Impersonation, 5. And committed from outside the room is 6. Accident, 1. Someone else, 2. Or someone not being there, 2. Misdirection, 3. Committing suicide, 4. Impersonation, 5. Murder, committing from outside the room, 6. Okay. An impossible weapon is a weapon that made of ice that melts and leaves no trace. A murder from outside is just a murder that's from outside. Like you. Okay. I've never heard of Carr's closed room taxonomies. The Hollow Man is a Carr novel. Locked room mystery novel by American writer John Dixon Carr. Featuring his recurring investigator Gideon or Gideon Fell. How do you spell Gideon or Gideon? I don't know. I've never heard John Dixon Carr, but he was an author of detective stories. Okay. How's how's Gideon pronounced?
Gideon.
Gideon or Gideon. That's how the AI or robot lady pronounced it. Gideon. It's not Gideon. That's Gideon. I mean, that is a streamer. That is a person that exists. Okay. Have we reached the halfway point? Oh, we already have reached the halfway point. Okay, but we need to find a good stopping point. We haven't found a good stopping point yet, and then I'll split this up into a second video. They provide enjoyment with tricks, and when thinking of how to entertain with mystery novels, it's true that a tangibly identifiable answer which can be reasoned out is convenient. It's why we can say that there's no helping the fact that the vast majority of mysteries are overflowing with false closed rooms. But incidentally, this also makes for a limit on the thinking involved in the majority of closed rooms. Don't misunderstand, I'm not criticizing false closed rooms. What I am criticizing is a section of narrow-minded humans who, because they only know false closed rooms, think it's the one and only kind of closed room mystery. Okay. This also makes for a limit on the thinking involved in the majority of closed rooms. Okay. Okay, you can have other types of mysteries, sure. However, we mustn't forget that in Carr's closed rooms taxonomies, there are also descriptions of methods for murdering true closed rooms too. In fact, if guaranteed a perfect closed room in red, it becomes easy to reason based on H.H. Holmes' closed room taxonomies. I don't know who H.H. Holmes is, I'm not gonna Google him. It's okay. Because saying Holmes is a little confusing, let's use his legal name, Boucher, from now on. I don't know who that is. According to Boucher, closed room murders can be explained with 3 categories. You guys have to remember, I don't read mysteries. I don't read detective stories. I don't know anything. I've only heard of Agatha Christie, and honestly, a big part of this because of Umineko. So, and then there were none. That's Umineko that told me about that. But I don't know detective mysteries or detective novels or murder mysteries and stuff. To make these categorizations extremely clear, I've written them below. The crime was committed before the closed room was constructed. The crime was committed while the closed room was up. The crime was committed after the closed room had been destroyed. Okay, those are the three categories. It's only these three categories. If Red Truth says it's impossible to do it while the closed room was up, then it would be natural to think the crime was committed before the closed room's construction or after its destruction. But we're about an hour into this now. If you are to use an incident of the sudden appearance of a letter in a closed room as an example, then the letter was placed before the closed room or after the closed room. It's just these two categories. That's a limited, narrow-minded thinking, though, no? According to your own self. With the former, you can doubt the person who confirmed its absence when they locked the room. See, yeah, we're not, okay. Do we have a good stopping point coming? I don't want to spoil myself, but okay. Seems like that here there's a new scene. Okay, okay. 3 more minutes and then we can stop. Okay, because seems like we're gonna end off this closed room discussion here. Because I don't wanna. I want a good stopping point, but I don't want it to be, you know what I'm saying, like abrupt in the middle of like a point that the writer is making. With the letter, you can doubt the person who discovered the letter, like Kraus in this case. But in this case, you can actually doubt both of them, both Kinzo and Kraus, and you'd be valid. In other words, if you base your thinking on Boucher's closed room taxonomies, you can immediately suspect that someone in the Shurima family is cooperating with the culprit. And it should be clear as day who is more suspicious between the children from the guest house who confirmed the closed room and the lone survivors of the previous tragedy, Cross and Nazi, who claim to have been witness to a demon summoned by a witch killing their relatives. For those who see this world as a mystery, they won't be caught by this kind of deception. Because to declare, I saw a witch, I saw magic, I saw demons in this world, is the same as confessing to being bought out to play a part in the culprit's ruse. Okay. In this world. What a simple and cheap mystery. Probably for those people who love to read the mystery novels that I have boundless respect for, they'll see right through it with a big laugh. To witness demons, even with a brazen display of fantasy as proof, is to mystery the height of satire. It will no doubt get laughter. I'm pretty sure they said it will no doubt get laughs. Though even if I think so, about 1 in 1,000 people might seriously believe that a witch summoned a demon. It's true. Only for that rare occasion, only for that rare person can my world of fantasy be sufficient. It's true. There is a rare occasion where 1 in 1,000, 1 in a billion persons might think, you know what? Maybe it's real. Maybe the fantasy is real. Maybe there was a witch. Excuse the digression. So anyway, I will confuse the foregoing matter using the meta world, decorating it with the preface of an incomprehensible incident. The target of the upcoming second Twilight will be Shannon. We'll have it so the women will go up to the guest house second floor while crossing the servant men fortify the first floor. What happens to Battler and George? Because you say the women will go up to the second floor, Cross and servant men stay behind, but Battler and George are not servant men, so what's up? Guess they also help out. And so, Shannon and George can be together. Okay, so the women go up to the second floor along with George. Okay, so George joins the women up on the second floor. What happens to Battler then? George will probably attend to the frightened Shannon, who's lying about being frightened, by the way. These two close ones will be lying about being frightened. You know what I mean. These two close ones will be the target of the second Twilight. Bet. This time I will go with a nuance of tearing apart those who are close, of tearing apart the relationship with an abduction. Oh. After going to the servant's room on the first floor, Shannon will head to the bathroom. So basically, Shannon will do a murder-suicide, quote unquote. She'll murder George and then suicide, kill herself. Like that's that. It's quick and easy, and you got Shannon on the team. After going to the servant's room on the first floor, Shannon will head to the bathroom. Okay. Naturally, George will come too. But of course, he can't go inside the girl's bathroom, of course. He'll wait at the entrance, makes sense. But he's gonna, make sure to protect her. This is not a single person bathroom, but a bathroom made for use in the guest house, designed to be large enough to several people at once. Okay. At this point, Shannon will exit through the window in the back of the bathroom. Then Kumasawa will enter, and she will lock the window Shannon escaped through. Okay. Then she'll scream to announce some kind of incident.
どうしたんです熊沢さん開けますよ
And that's how they make a closed room. George opens the door to the girls' bathroom. When he does, Kumasawa's face will be pale and she will be pointing to a stall, shaking. Yeah, we're gonna end it off here, y'all, at the second twilight.
どうしたんですか
Shannon's dead.
シャノン
Yeah, we're gonna end it off here. Yeah, we're well past the halfway point now, and the halfway point was like 50 minutes in. But yeah, we went past that because there wasn't a good stopping point. But I think here's a good stopping point, right? The start of the second twilight. You know what I'm saying? Shannon is dead. So yeah, we'll continue this off next time for the second half. I say that now, yeah, we only have 40 something minutes left to read of this, so yeah, most of it was read this time, but it's fine. You know, I'll probably do more yapping next time. Who knows, to make up for it. Although now we have been recording for more than an hour. I think more than an hour and a half. So maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, we'll continue our confession next time, and then we'll read through. We'll finish our confession next time, and then we'll read through Lesson of the Golden Witch. So far, I'm not enjoying it. Flauros being introduced was the most interesting part of this that has happened. I can't lie to you because, I mean, this extra story more or less we get what they're doing, right? It's a draft for the manuscript for a new episode, and we get to see like the behind the scenes of how it's written, right? Okay, this is how we are gonna embellish the story with magic, and this is how it happens. Da, da, da. I guess I do like that side of it, but more than that, yeah, it does feel like just some extra episode where we get to see the more background of how the embellishing goes and stuff like that on a hypothetical, let's say, ninth episode. So I guess it is cool. I don't mind it. I don't hate it. It's cool, I guess. So yeah, that's about it for me though. I'll see you guys. Yeah, I mean, I'll see you guys next time for part 2 of our confession. Once again, thank you Lambda Delta for providing this, this version for our confession, this console version, and for uploading it on YouTube for us all to see. And then yeah, after next time we'll be reading this, right? This thing, there's some nice stuff going on there, so it looks cool. It looks like we're gonna get to see more witches and witch magic battles. We get to see Burn Lambda is what it looks like from this thumbnail. Who is that? That's not Burn though. I don't know who that is. Oh, there's Lana and stuff. So we get to see more witch stuff, but that doesn't look like. I thought that was Lambda for a second in the thumbnail, but it's not. But anyway, I don't care. We'll see at some point when we get to it. It's 3 hours long, but yeah, we're gonna get more magic and witch battles. So yeah, we're gonna split it up into 3 videos and get that done out of the way for y'all. But yeah, we're gonna finish off our confession next time, and then yeah. But it's not like we received any crazy information here that we didn't know about before, and we're not expecting to, right? That's the whole thing. These are extra. This is like more extra content just to, what I'm saying, get an extra feel of Umineko in a way. So that's more or less what I expected. But yeah, this has 4 times the views, like I said earlier. This is at 8,000, this is 33,000. So this has 8 times the views. Not 8 times, 4 times the views. So clearly, Last Note is the big popular extra content to be watching or reacting to rather than our confession. However, I was told to read our confession first, so I'm just gonna get through this first, and then we'll read Last Note after. So yeah, but that will be it for this part of Umineko. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this at least as much as I enjoyed reading this. Our confession. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time for the second half and the finale of our confession. I guess there's not much left, but yeah. Yeah, all right, y'all. Peace.